Is it possible that the prince of the heavenly host, the one who cast down the infernal dragon according to Revelation, has left you a battle strategy so powerful that it can transform your September into a month of miracles? It seems impossible, but Archangel Michael, defender of heaven against the rebellion of fallen angels, discovered a way to fight that isn't taught in modern self-help books or common sermons. A form of spiritual warfare that doesn't depend on human strength or external conditions, not even on favorable emotions. He fought a silent war, not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of darkness. And he won. How? With something very few truly practice: unwavering trust in divine authority. But don't be mistaken, this isn't trust based on feeling good or having everything under control. It's a powerful, lucid, and loving trust that dissolves darkness, not by confronting it directly, but by remaining awake in God's light. And today, you're going to discover that secret, because what he experienced in that cosmic battle, that hidden struggle between light and shadow, you also face. Thoughts you cannot stop, doubts no one else sees, anxieties that arrive without warning, battles that aren't fought with swords, but with faith and divine authority. Have you ever felt surrounded by invisible forces that seem to work against your peace, your family, your spiritual progress? Archangel Michael didn't leave his wisdom locked in heaven. He traced a map, a path that crosses spiritual chaos and reaches an unshakable peace. A peace that doesn't depend on having everything under control, but on living with the eyes of your soul always open to God's protection. Prepare yourself, because this isn't just another video. It's an invitation to look inward and discover that, within you, God has already planted everything necessary to resist, to discern, and to overcome. Subscribe to our channel so you don't miss more teachings and spiritual guidance like this. A Night Without Moon, September 13th, 1884. The wind howled through the Vatican halls with an almost human lament. Pope Leo III had just finished celebrating Mass, but something extraordinary was about to happen. As he stood in silent prayer, he suddenly stopped, his face turned pale, and his eyes fixed on something invisible to everyone else. For several minutes, he remained motionless, as if witnessing a terrifying vision that shook his very soul. What did he see that night? The Pope later revealed that he witnessed a conversation between Jesus Christ and Satan. The evil one boasted that he could destroy the church if given more time and power over those who would serve him. Christ granted him that time, and Satan immediately began his work of seduction and destruction. But there was something else in that vision, a powerful warrior, sword drawn, ready to defend the faithful. It was Archangel Michael standing between darkness and light. That same night, Pope Leo III composed the prayer that would echo through centuries: Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. But here's what most people don't know. This wasn't just a prayer, it was a battle cry. Each word carries the authority of heaven itself. When you pray this prayer, you're not just asking for protection, you're aligning yourself with the cosmic battle that's been raging since the beginning of time. Do you realize the power you hold when you invoke Michael's name with true faith? The Pope understood something profound. We're not fighting against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. And September, the month culminating in Michael's feast on the 29th, isn't just a date on the calendar. For those who have faith, it's a time of spiritual combat and special graces granted by God through Archangel Michael. Are you ready to join this battle? Are you ready to see how a simple prayer can become a spiritual fortress around your life? Every morning, as the first rays of sunlight pierce through your window, darkness retreats. But have you ever wondered why some people seem naturally protected from evil while others struggle constantly with oppression, fear, and spiritual attacks? The difference isn't luck or circumstance, it's spiritual armor. And the first piece of armor Archangel Michael offers you is his sacred prayer, recited with faith every single day of September. When you wake up tomorrow morning, before checking your phone, before thinking about your problems, before the world floods your mind with its chaos, speak these words: Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. But don't just recite them mechanically. Feel each word. Visualize Michael's sword cutting through every chain that binds you, every fear that paralyzes you, every force that works against your peace. Saint Padre Pio, who fought intense spiritual battles, used to say that this prayer was like spiritual ammunition. Every word fired against the enemy, every phrase a shield raised in defense. When you pray it in the morning, you're setting up a spiritual perimeter around your day. When you pray it at night, you're closing every door the enemy might try to enter. But there's something even more powerful. When you pray it with your family, you're creating a fortress of light around everyone you love. Have you ever noticed how some homes feel peaceful while others feel heavy and oppressive? Here's the truth that will transform your September. Consistency breaks curses. 1 day of prayer is good, but 31 days of prayer builds an unshakable spiritual wall. As you faithful who have made this commitment tell us, protection became visible, attacks ceased, and peace settled where there once was chaos. Your family will notice the change even if they don't understand why. Are you ready to commit to this daily spiritual discipline? Are you ready to see how a simple morning prayer can transform your entire month? If this message touched your heart, leave your testimony right now in the comments. Saint Michael, teach me to trust even in the desert. Your declaration might be exactly what another soul needs to read to keep moving forward. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to our channel. From August 15th to September 29th, something extraordinary happens in the spiritual realm. Many Catholics practice what's known as the quarantine of Saint Michael. 40 days of prayers, fasting, and penance in honor of the great Archangel. But even if you haven't started from the beginning, September offers you a powerful opportunity to join this spiritual army. This isn't about religious obligation, it's about spiritual transformation through sacred discipline. But what exactly is this quarantine, and why is it so powerful? Think of it as spiritual boot camp, where your soul learns to fight alongside the greatest warrior in heaven's army. Each day of prayer strengthens your spiritual muscles. Each small sacrifice purifies your heart. Each act of penance aligns you more closely with Michael's mission to defend the faithful. When you deny yourself something small, perhaps your favorite dessert, your evening entertainment, or that extra hour of sleep, you're declaring war on your own selfishness and pride. Saint John of the Cross taught that small sacrifices often accomplish what great penances cannot. They break the chains of attachment that keep us spiritually weak. When you offer these sacrifices to Saint Michael, you're not just practicing self-discipline. You're participating in the cosmic battle between good and evil. Your small no to comfort becomes a powerful yes to spiritual strength. Have you ever wondered why some people seem unshakable in their faith while others crumble at the first sign of difficulty? This quarantine creates spiritual warriors, not spiritual weaklings. Those who commit to this path discover something remarkable. The very things that once disturbed their peace lose their power. Temptations that once seemed irresistible become manageable. Problems that once caused panic are met with supernatural calm. Your small sacrifices united to Michael's great sacrifice for heaven become weapons of mass spiritual destruction against every force that opposes your relationship with God. Are you willing to trade temporary comfort for eternal victory? Are you ready to discover what happens when your will aligns with heaven's will? In your home, right now, there's a spiritual battlefield you might not even recognize. Every room, every corner, every space carries either the presence of peace or the residue of chaos. But here's what most people don't understand. Spiritual atmosphere isn't created by accident. It's cultivated through intentional acts of faith. And one of the most powerful acts is creating a sacred space dedicated to Archangel Michael's protection. This doesn't require expensive religious artifacts or elaborate shrines. A simple image or prayer card of Saint Michael, placed with reverence in your home, becomes a lighthouse in spiritual darkness. But the power isn't in the image itself. It's in what that image represents, your public declaration that this home belongs to God and stands under Michael's protection. When you light a candle before his image, you're not performing superstition. You're creating a physical reminder of spiritual reality. Saint Teresa of Avila knew this secret well. She understood that the soul needs external helps to maintain internal focus. Your sacred space becomes a meeting point between heaven and earth, a place where your prayers have special intensity, where your fears lose their grip, where your family can gather to seek protection. Many faithful testify that after establishing this sacred space, their homes became peaceful in ways they had never experienced before. Arguments decreased, children slept better, and an inexplicable sense of security settled over everyone. But here's the most powerful part. When you gather your family before this sacred space and place everyone under Saint Michael's protection, you're creating a generational shield. You're not just protecting your own life, you're establishing a legacy of faith that will guard your children and your children's children. The prayers said in this space echo through time, creating ripples of protection that extend far beyond what you can see. Have you ever wondered why some families seem blessed while others struggle generation after generation? The answer often lies in someone, somewhere, who created a sacred space and invited heaven's protection into their home. There's a secret hidden in the beads of the rosary that most Catholics have never discovered. When Saint Dominic received this prayer from the Virgin Mary herself, he wasn't just given a devotion, he was given a weapon of spiritual warfare so powerful that hell trembles when it's prayed with true faith. But when you combine the rosary with your devotion to Saint Michael during September, something extraordinary happens. You arm yourself with the spiritual sword of Mary and Michael together. Each Hail Mary becomes a strike against the forces of darkness. Each Our Father becomes a declaration of divine authority. Each Glory Be becomes a song of victory that echoes through the spiritual realm. But this isn't about mindless repetition or mechanical recitation. This is about entering into the cosmic battle between the woman clothed with the sun and the dragon who seeks to devour her children. When you offer your rosary to Saint Michael, you're asking him to take your prayers and transform them into weapons of light. Saint Padre Pio used to say that the rosary was his weapon against Satan. During his most intense spiritual battles, when demonic attacks reached their peak, he would reach for his beads and begin to pray. Witnesses reported that the very atmosphere would change, that oppressive darkness would lift, and that peace would return. But why is the rosary so powerful? Because it takes you into the mysteries of Christ's life, death, and resurrection, the very events that defeated Satan forever. When you pray the rosary in September, offering each decade to Saint Michael, you're not just asking for protection for yourself. You're participating in the universal battle for souls. Your prayers become part of a vast network of spiritual resistance that spans the globe. Every faithful soul praying the rosary creates another point of light in the darkness, another fortress of grace in a world under attack. The demons flee not just from your life, but from your neighborhood, your city, your nation. One rosary prayed with faith can change the spiritual atmosphere of an entire region. Are you ready to discover the power you hold in those simple beads? There's a spiritual law that most people never learn. Protection and generosity are intimately connected. When you open your heart to help others, you open heaven's heart to help you. But during September, when you unite acts of charity with your devotion to Saint Michael, something supernatural occurs. Your good works become not just human kindness, but spiritual warfare against the forces of selfishness and evil that plague our world. Imagine this. You're walking through your neighborhood and you notice an elderly person struggling with groceries. Your first instinct might be to hurry past, lost in your own problems and worries. But what if you stopped? What if you offered to help? What if you did this small act of kindness as an offering to Saint Michael? In that moment, you're not just helping one person. You're striking a blow against the indifference that Satan uses to separate us from one another. The Archangel Michael's battle isn't just against demonic forces. It's against everything that divides God's children from each other and from their Creator. When you feed the hungry, visit the sick, comfort the lonely, or simply offer a word of encouragement to someone who's struggling, you're participating in Michael's mission. You're bringing light where there was darkness, hope where there was despair, connection where there was isolation. But here's the miraculous part. Every act of mercy you perform in Michael's honor becomes an intercession for you before God's throne. The person you help becomes unknowingly a prayer warrior for your intentions. The smile you bring to a sad face becomes a key that unlocks graces in your own life. The hope you kindle in another heart becomes a flame that burns away your own difficulties. This isn't karma or positive thinking. This is the divine economy of grace, where love given always returns multiplied. Have you ever noticed how the most generous people seem to be the most protected and blessed? Now you know the secret. September 29th, the feast of Saints Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael. This isn't just another day on the liturgical calendar. It's the climax of your spiritual preparation, the moment when all your prayers, sacrifices, and acts of charity converge into one powerful act, your personal consecration to Archangel Michael. This is when you place your life, your family, your hopes, and your fears under his protective wing forever. But what does consecration really mean? It means declaring that you belong to God and choosing Saint Michael as your spiritual guardian and protector. It means saying, whatever battles lie ahead, I will not face them alone. The one who cast Satan from heaven stands with me. This isn't superstition or empty ritual. This is spiritual reality. When you consecrate yourself to Michael, you're placing yourself under the protection of heaven's greatest warrior. The consecration prayer isn't complicated. Saint Michael the Archangel, I choose you this day as my protector, my guide, and my defender. I place my life, my family, my work, and my future under your powerful protection. As you defended heaven against the rebellion of the fallen angels, defend me against all the attacks of the evil one. Guard my thoughts, my words, and my actions. Help me to live always in God's grace and to die in his friendship. Amen. But these aren't just words. They're a contract written in faith and sealed in trust. From the moment you make this consecration, you're no longer spiritually alone. Michael's sword stands between you and every force that would destroy you. His wings shelter you from every storm. His intercession carries your prayers directly to God's throne. Thousands of faithful souls who have made this consecration testify to the same experience, a peace that surpasses understanding, a protection that defies explanation, and a strength that endures through every trial. On September 29th, will you join this army of protected souls? Will you place yourself under the shield of heaven's greatest protector? How do you know when Archangel Michael's protection is active in your life? The signs aren't always dramatic or obvious, but they're unmistakable to those who know how to look. Sometimes protection comes as a sudden change of mind that keeps you from making a destructive decision. Sometimes it manifests as an unexpected opportunity that solves a problem you thought was impossible. Sometimes it's simply a deep peace that settles over your heart, even in the midst of chaos. Many people expect miracles to be loud and flashy, but Michael's interventions are often quiet and subtle. You might notice that temptations that once seemed irresistible suddenly lose their appeal. Problems that used to consume your thoughts and steal your sleep somehow resolve themselves. People who once brought drama and conflict into your life either change their behavior or simply drift away. This isn't coincidence. This is divine intervention working through Archangel Michael's intercession. But perhaps the most beautiful sign of Michael's protection is the transformation that occurs within your own heart. Fear gives way to courage. Anxiety surrenders to trust. Despair is replaced by hope. You find yourself responding to difficulties with a strength you didn't know you possessed. Your prayers become more confident, your faith more solid, your love more generous. You're becoming the person God always intended you to be, protected and empowered by heaven's greatest warrior. The ultimate sign, however, is peace, not the absence of problems, but the presence of God's calm in the midst of any storm. When you can face uncertainty without panic, when you can trust God's plan, even when you can't see the way forward, when you can love your enemies and bless those who persecute you, then you know that Michael's protection has transformed not just your circumstances, but your very soul. This is the miracle that surpasses all others, the miracle of a heart at peace with God, protected by the Prince of the heavenly host. As September draws to a close, you might think that your spiritual warfare is ending. But here's the truth that will change everything. The battle never ends, but neither does the protection. What you've built during this sacred month isn't temporary, it's eternal. The habits of prayer, sacrifice, and charity you've developed become permanent fortifications around your soul. The consecration you've made to Saint Michael isn't for September alone, it's for life. Every day forward, you'll face the same spiritual battles that have raged since the beginning of time. The enemy of your soul doesn't take vacations or declare truces, but neither do you have to face these battles alone. The Archangel Michael, who defended heaven, who protects the church, who has answered your prayers in September, remains your defender and guardian always. The weapons he's given you, daily prayer, sacrifice, sacred space, the rosary, works of mercy, and total consecration, these remain at your disposal every single day. But here's the most powerful truth of all. You're not just protected, you're called to be a protector. Every grace you've received, every miracle you've witnessed, every moment of peace you've experienced makes you responsible for sharing this protection with others. Your family, your friends, your co-workers, your community, they all need what you've discovered. They all need to know that they don't have to face their battles alone. So as you move forward, remember, September has ended, but your mission has just begun. You are now a soldier in Michael's army, protected by his sword and empowered by his intercession. The miracles you've experienced are just the beginning. The protection you've received is meant to overflow to others. The peace you've found is meant to transform the world around you. Will you accept this mission? Will you become not just a receiver of Michael's protection, but a channel of his power? The choice is yours, but the army of heaven stands ready to support you in whatever you decide. And now I ask you, will you let September pass like any ordinary month, or will you join Archangel Michael in this spiritual battle? The Prince of the Heavenly Host